exceptions. "Indulge me on this, please." Taking his hand, she kissed his palm and pressed it to her neck. She needed another minute. She felt safe here, sheltered, happy. Of all the nurseries she had decorated for clients, this was her best. 4 walls of a panoramic meadow, laced with flowers, tall grasses, sun-tipped trees. Everything was white, soft orange, and green. The feeling was one of a perfect world. Gentle, harmonious, and safe. Self-sufficient she might be, but she had dreamed of a world like this from the moment she had dared to dream again. Hugh had grown up in a world like this. His childhood had been sheltered, his adolescence rich. His family had come to America on the Mayflower and been prominent players ever since. 4 centuries of success had bred stability. Hugh might downplay the connection, but he was a direct beneficiary of it. "Your parents expected pastel balloons on the wall," she remarked, releasing his hand. "I'm afraid I've disappointed them." "Not you," he answered, "we, but it's a moot point. This isn't my parents' baby." He made for the door. "I need shoes." Moving aside knitting needles that held the top half of a moss-green sleep sack, Dana carefully lowered herself into the Boston rocker. She had dragged it down from the attic, where Hugh hid most of his heirloom pieces. And while she had rescued others, this was her favorite. Purchased in the 1840s by his great-great-grandfather, it had a spindle back and 3-section rolled seat that was strikingly comfortable for something so old. Dana had sanded the rocker's chipped paint and restored it to gleaming perfection, and Hugh had let her. He knew that she valued family history all the more for having lived without it. That said, everything else was new. A family history that began here. The crib and its matching dresser were imported, but the rest, from the changing pad on top, to the hand-painted fabric framing the windows, to the mural, were custom done by her roster of artists. There was a throw over one end of the crib, made by her grandmother and mirroring the meadow mural. A cashmere rabbit that Dana had knitted in every shade of orange. A bunting, 2 sweaters, numerous hats, and a stack of carriage blankets. And that didn't count the winter wool bunting in progress, which was mounted in a wicker basket at the foot of her chair, or the sleep sack she held in her hand. They had definitely gone overboard. Rocking slowly, she smiled as she remembered what had been here 8 months before. Her pregnancy had just been confirmed, when she had come home from work to find the room blanketed with tulips. Purple, yellow, white. Hugh had planned the surprise with sheer pleasure, and Dana believed it had set the tone. There was magic in this room. There was warmth and love. There was security. Their baby would be happy here. She knew it would. Opening a hand on her stomach, she caressed the mound that was absurdly large in proportion to the rest of her. She couldn't feel the baby move. The poor little thing didn't have room to do much more than wiggle a finger or toe. But Dana felt the tightening of muscles that would push her child into the world. Breathe slowly. Hugh's soothing baritone came back from their Lamaze classes. She was still breathing deeply when the slap of flip-flops announced his return. She grinned. "I'm picturing the baby in this room." But he was observant to a fault. "That was another contraction, wasn't it? Are you timing them?" "Not yet. They're too far apart. I'm trying to distract myself by thinking happy thoughts. Remember the first time I saw your house?" It was the right question. Smiling, he leaned against the door jamb. "Sure do. You were wearing neon green." "It wasn't neon, it was lime. And you didn't know what the piece was." "I knew what it was. I just didn't know what it was called." "It was called a sweater." His eyes held hers. "Laugh if you want. You do every time. But that sweater was more angular and asymmetrical than anything I'd ever seen." "Modular. Modular," he repeated, pushing off from the jam. "I interviewed 3 designers. The others were out of the running the minute you walked in my door. I didn't know about whether you were any kind of decorator, except that David loved what you did for his house. But we're playing with fire, dear heart. David will kill me if I don't get you to the hospital in time." David Johnson lived next door. He was an orthopedic surgeon and divorced. Dana was always trying to set him up, but he always complained, saying that none of the women were her. Placing her knitting on